Okay, onward with our exploration of stories. So there are stories with small s and stories with a big S. There are uh, relatively unimportant stories, and there are more core stories. Stories that, oh gosh, we've lived with and told ourselves and others for so long that we've even lost track of the fact that they are stories. Um, I've had the opportunity to study and work with Dr. Louis Mehlmadrona, who is a psychiatrist, who has studied the effect of story, the narrative therapy, narrative psychiatry. And he says that story is actually the default setting of the brain. When left to its own devices, your brain will tell itself stories. So we all grew up with stories in our family, and there are stories that are good stories and stories that are not such good stories. For instance, in my family, I was told that the most renowned person in our family heritage was my great grandpa Louis. Great grandpa Louis was an inventor who had invented a number of things that actually went on to like a vertical takeoff machine, a helicopter, and one of the early phonograph records. So he was a hero. He was known as a special person, a creative, inventive person, and I was given the middle name Louis after great grandpa Louis. I never met him, but I heard a lot about him, and we had models that were based on his inventions in our house growing up that I got to look at and play with. So he was, even though I never met him, the story of Louis and the fact that I had some of his energy in me because of that name. I told myself that I was a creative person. I was an inventive person, just like my great grandpa Louis. So that's a good story. And in sorting through the stories that we grew up with, it's helpful to find good stories, stories that inspire us, and not so good stories. So my suggestion for you is to take a few minutes and think of a story that you grew up with, something that happened to you or that you did when you were a child or that somebody in your family did that influenced and affected you that in a positive way. And even if you have the time, write it down, write a couple paragraphs about this story. Think about that. Okay, until next time.